Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DGS2 Case 2. Susato is having a little bite with Baroque, reminding him that, hey, this is a final appeal. Your opinions don't really matter in this case.
Hold it! Yes, you're right. We're the ones in charge of deciding whether this clue has any value.
Juror 3.
I'm curious about the results of the famous detective's investigation, too. I'd like to hear what that suspicious man there has to say about those suspicious handprints.
Ah, how hasty.
I agree. A promise is a promise.
Now hold on just a minute. We can't just...
We did it, Naruhodō-sama! If we can just persuade one more juror to change their vote, we'll be able to continue Souseki-sama's trial. Thank you so much. This is all thanks to you. Oh no, you're the one who found the clue, Naruhodō-sama. He's sweating! He's sweating! But Tensei-san doesn't look so confident all of a sudden. We just need one more. Let's do this, Naruhodō-sama. Now then, you may continue your final appeal. All the evidence?
That's right. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's pointing right at the mustached Japanese man.
Says the mustached Englishman, as he points right at me. But just now, the final appeal indicated a new possibility. Do you have any thoughts regarding that possibility?
Ah, you must mean those, finger traces, was it?
It's a masterpiece that the great detective Holmes-sama poured all his considerable skill into creating. There are some fishy-looking handprints from both hands on the wall on either side of the gas lamp. If Tensei-san had put his mouth on the gas pipe that night, it's possible that some poison had been painted onto the pipe.
Well, I suppose that's true. I can't pretend I'm not curious. However, as the prosecutor said, illegal evidence should be paid no mind. Besides
what?
Let's say, for the sake of argument, that the man really had stood before the gas pipe numerous times before. We don't know for sure whether he put his mouth on the opening of the pipe on the night of the crime and blew into it.
Eh?
As long as we can't be sure about that, it's only logical to assume that there's no connection.
Now that you mention it, I suppose you're right.
Eh?
True. Maybe I was a little hasty.
Uh-oh. What? No, please, hold on.
Now that we've brought it up anyway, why don't you clear it up for us? Can you Japanese prove it?
He's making this a racial thing? However, if we admit now that we can't do it, the jurors who changed their votes for us may rethink that decision. I wonder, can I prove it? Can I prove whether Tensei-san put his mouth on the gas pipe opening on the night of the crime? I can't prove it. Prove it with evidence. Prove it with a profile. I admit that I don't have evidence to prove it, but there is someone related to the case who'd be able to testify about it.
What? Someone related to the case?
Who on earth is that amazing hero?
It looks like everything's coming together. The person who could testify about the gas in the boarding house that contained the crime scene is Natsume Souseki. Natsume. That would be the defendant himself, of course, Mr. Natsume Souseki.
The defendant?
During yesterday's trial, Souseki-san first made the following claim.
There's been a string of baffling incidents at our boarding house. It happened again on the night of the murder. I just returned home from Mr. Potenzi's room. I turned my gas stove way up and curled up in bed. Then, a little while later, I noticed that at some point the flame on my gas stove went out, and unbeknownst to anyone, I began to die.
On the night of the crime, the gas supply to the defendant's room was interrupted. Could this really have been a coincidence?
Don't tell me!
That blow Potenzi blew into the gas pipe and stopped the gas on purpose.
Hold on a minute. Why on earth would he do that?
Potenzi! Juror 1.
What is it?
As long as doubt remains, a verdict shouldn't be handed down. I may not have proof yet, but there are still facts of this case that we haven't uncovered.
Very well. As I said in the beginning, I'm an incredibly irrational gentleman.
Woo! We did it! Thanks, Juror 1. Appreciate it. That makes 4 not guilty votes. That means the verdict has been overturned. The defense demands that the trial continue. As the defense claims, the final appeal that was just conducted has resulted in a modification to the jurors' votes. 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Therefore, as the court has not reached a unanimous decision at this time, the trial shall continue. Witness, William Potenzi. Yes, Your Honor. Potenzi at your service. The court would like to hear what you have to say in regards to the final appeal that was just made. I pledge before heaven, and I pledge to the earth. All this talk of lamps and gas pipes, I have no memory of any of it, and I am thus deeply confused. Oh, sure you are.
But look! Your handprints are plastered all over that wall!
How many wine bottles has he thrown into the audience in this trial alone? I appreciate it if you didn't insult the dignity of the court any further, Imperial citizen.
What?
I believe I stated this before. Toys created by self-proclaimed detectives do not constitute proof. Whether this man stood in front of his lamp with his hands on the wall cannot be proven at this point. You did well to get that through your heads.
Oh.
But it would be incredibly simple to prove it. Please, you have to perform a test on the opening to the gas pipe in Potenzi-san's room. If there are traces of poison there. Apparently your incredible head has already forgotten. Incredibly large head. Incredibly bloated head? There's a line that seems to be missing here. Hold on, I can't read. I'm gonna just go with that. A measure of the tea left at the crime scene was necessary to test for poison. Even if there were poison painted into the opening of the gas pipe, it It would be completely dry by now, which would make it impossible to test for any poison. Ah! I forgot about that. Besides, I'm having a hard time thinking up a reason why this man would blow into a gas pipe to begin with. There's just one possibility that I can come up with. That he sought to take someone's life using the gas fumes. Order! Order! Defense! Just who was this man plotting to kill? I hardly even need to think about it. Considering what I know, it's very simple. The person Potensi-san intended to murder was Natsume Souseki. Present! 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 Anyone would notice if their gas lamp were to go out as they were watching it. In other words, the one he was plotting to kill only used the gas for his stove.
I live in that area too, so I know all too well. If you sleep without any heating, you'll be frozen solid by the next morning.
There's a large fireplace in Mr. Garrideb's room. In other words, the person he was aiming for was a fellow lodger. Fellow lodger? Naturally, that would mean the defendant, Natsume Souseki-san. Souseki-san wasn't the assailant. He's a would-be murder victim. What? Turnabout murder. The defendant was actually the victim. A fascinating theory. However, either way, the absolute truth hasn't changed. Namely, that the defendant was the assailant. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Let's say, for the sake of argument, that there had been poison painted on the mouth of the gas pipe, as you claim. In which case, who could have put it there? Oh, right. Crap! The person who painted on the poison. Naturally, that would mean that the person was aware. Aware that this man intended to put his murderous plan into action using the gas fumes. Of course. They would have to have been. That's why they painted the poison onto the gas pipe in the first place. Now then, how is it that that person found out about his intentions to kill? It can't be. There's only one conceivable answer, and it's an incredibly simple one. Because his life was the one being targeted. What? In other words, the only one who could have taken countermeasures against Potensi's plan and painted the poison on was none other than the defendant, Natsume Souseki. Uh-oh. Regardless of what William Potensi was planning, it doesn't change the facts. This man was slipped poison by some individual and began to lose his life. And the only one who could possibly have done it was the defendant, Natsume Souseki. The suspicion surrounding the defendant has not lifted. Far from it. In fact, we've now established a concrete motive for him to have poisoned this man. And this has only deepened the suspicion. That is the prosecution's opinion. What say you, Japanese boy? Ah! Damage! Uh-oh. We can't end it here. We have 3 more cases to do. Who would have thought? He had such a major turnabout waiting in the wings. Naruhodō-sama, please, lift up your head. At this rate, the jurors will all change their minds again. I believe this might really be our final chance. Our final? Who could have painted the poison on the gas pipe in Potensi-sama's room? You must reveal their name and drag them out onto the stand. Ah, I wonder who we know that likes to paint. So you mean the real culprit? I know I asked the impossible, but if you're not able to do that, then Souseki-sama's verdict will be set in stone. It actually would make sense why she would do it, too. Actually, there's just one person I can think of who might have done it. The poison, the evidence, it all indicates a certain person. Now then, jurors, I'd like to ask you to vote one last time. So, what say you, jurors?
Yes, sir. Of course, I would be happy to.
No! We're not done! There's one other person it could be. One other candidate for the true culprit. True culprit? That's a sort of tawdry words only used in third-rate novels like the ones that famous detective appears in. Japanese boy. Very well. We've come this far. I suppose entertaining this little farce could prove to be mildly amusing. Thank you very much. Let us hear your thoughts on the matter, Japanese boy. The true culprit in this case. Tell us that person's name. Viridian Green. The person responsible for seeing that poison reach William Potenzi's mouth was Viridian Green-san. That's what I believe. But Viridian Green? I feel as though I've heard that name recently somewhere. Viridian Green, you say? She's the victim. We've come full circle about these two cases. In the stabbing incident that occurred 6 days ago on that walkway on Briar Road. And Natsume Souseki, our current defendant, was arrested as a suspect. Now I remember. Viridian Green. After the incident, she remained in a coma for 5 days. I heard she just regained consciousness 2 days ago. It goes without saying, but Mr. Potenzi was poisoned late at night 3 days ago. It's completely impossible for a woman lying unconscious in a hospital bed to have committed this crime. That's true. On the night the crime occurred, she was still unconscious. At first glance, it seems impossible for her to have committed this, but yesterday, when we visited Viridian-san's room, she possessed a small bottle of deadly poison. What did you say? Deadly poison? Additionally, a certain fact links Viridian-san to this case. The defense would like to have her testify about that. By the way, William Potenzi. Right. What is it, Your Honor? Do you know Viridian Green? Her? Oh, no, I've never heard of her. Potenzi-sama looks puzzled. It would seem that he really doesn't recognize Viridian-sama's name. As one entrusted with participation in the British administration of justice, I intend to keep my word. I shall see this farce of yours through to its conclusion, Japanese boy. Right. The prosecution would like to request a brief recess in order to summon the new witness. You mean Viridian Green? That's correct, Your Honor. I'd like to request an hour to subpoena her. Very well. The court will grant the prosecution's request. I did it. The trial has arrived at this point due to an unexpected accusation by the defense. However, at this juncture, the prosecution's case continues to hold water as well. Therefore, the charges against the defendant still stand as before. Now then, court is now adjourned for a 1-hour recess. Bang. And they have it to be continued, but we are continuing for another 10 minutes. I think we'd probably get through the lobby scene. Oh, goodness.
excuse me. It's kind of early in the morning when I'm doing this. We're not saving. Same day, 11:32 a.m., Old Bailey Defendant's Lobby.
Jumping for joy!
Oh, Souseki-sama. Well done in there.
Substitute exchange student Naruhodō and legal aid Miko Toba. Does this mean you'll finally be able to prove it? Prove my innocence and the innocence of my tea?
Hey, good morning, folks! Oh my god, Sherlock!
Whoa! The Sherlock Holmes! You cad! The world would be better off if you drank some of my tea and sank into eternal silence.
I thought you said there was nothing wrong with your tea.
Oh, it's you, Holmes-sama. We're so glad you came.
Yes, well, I know what you're thinking. Don't good morning us, you're bloody late. Am I right?
No one said anything like that.
Well, see, even I was thinking to myself, today's the day I'll get it right. Today, I'll finally wake up at a decent time and come to court to support my friends, I thought to myself. How do you like those warm and fuzzy feelings of mine? Lovely, aren't they? Oh my gosh, Holmes.
Yes, very.
That's when I thought to myself, what is it that makes people repeatedly commit the foolish error of oversleeping in the first place? The answer is incredibly simple. Yes, it's because they sleep. How do you like my sharp insight? Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yes, very.
Thus, I decided to spend my last night working on experiments and not getting a wink of sleep. And as a result, I ended up becoming hopelessly sleepy in spite of my efforts and dozed off for a bit.
I see.
People are better off getting a good night's sleep. That was the conclusion I arrived at last night's experiment.
That seems like a fairly predictable conclusion.
Proving that you know via scientific means, that's the nature of experimentation. Alright, one more thing. Do you remember this?
Oh, that's the poison Viridian-san tried to drink yesterday in her hospital room.
Wait, so then... The fact that it was nearly empty made it difficult, but, in the end, it was no match for Mr. Holmes. I could say with certainty that this bottle contains strychnine. Oh crap, there we go.
So, we were right.
Well, even so, it's not enough to prove that she was the one who committed the crime. I suppose I'd better give this to you. I don't recommend tasting what's inside. Small bottle of poison. Viridian-san was carrying this bottle. It contains small amount of a slow-acting poison called strychnine.
May I cut in?
Gregson! Whoa, what are you doing over here? Well, if it isn't our friend the detective.
Sorry to have bothered you.
Oh my god, he just walked off!
Hey, wait, please!
Look, I just need to get my fish and chips, okay? Well, it's just that I hate to interrupt. He's looking at the famous detective with a gaze that clearly says, you're the one who's really in the way here. Come now, little detective. Go ahead and say what you need to say. Pretend I'm not even here. My life would be a lot easier if I could do that.
Did your investigation of Potensi-sama's room turn up something?
I'm not sure yet. They should be finishing up soon, though. The reason I'm here is about that death row inmate.
You mean the one mentioned in this article we found in Potensi-san's room, right?
Or yesterday.
I believe his name was Selden. I tried looking through his records in the yard's records room, and in the process, I managed to learn an interesting fact. Interesting. That certainly sounds interesting to me.
This is what I copied down from the police documents. You can go ahead and have a look.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gregson?
Death Row Inmate Documents. An article about the Death Row inmate Selden, who died of an illness in his cell. And a summary of the police investigation reports. Okay, this is really weird now, because, like, this is before Case 5, and I'm pretty sure Gregson was not this friendly in Case 5. So this is really jarring to see. These documents. It looks as though the article we found in Potensi-sama's room is included among them. I'll tidy up the court record a little. But why are you giving us all these important documents?
Well, you were the one who found that clue in the first place. It only makes sense to me, as a detective.
Oh my, that's Scotland Yard for you.
Face your eyes, folks! This is what British-style suaveness looks like.
Suaveness?
I don't want to be indebted to any defense attorney. That's all. Defense! Defendant! Court is about to reconvene. Head back into the courtroom. Now then, I believe that was my cue to get going as well. I'll be cheering you on from the gallery. Don't worry, I won't nod off. He is totally gonna nod off.
Alright, thank you very much, Holmes-san.
I'm tired of seeing Mr. Mustache cry. Do your best now.
Substitute exchange student Naruhodō!
Souseki-san.
This is finally it, isn't it?
Yes, at last. Viridian Green and William Potensi. Today's the day. We finally put an end to all of this. Souseki-san should be truly saved. When the whole truth comes out, I'm sure of it. We're about to enter the final showdown. Here goes nothing, Naruhodō Ryūnosuke. It's the same day, 12:30 p.m., the Old Bailey Supreme Court.
Now then, I hereby declare court to be in session, in the name of the Queen.
Let's see if we can get through introductions at least.
Previously, we heard a surprising accusation from the defense that the victim in the incident 6 days ago is the culprit in our current case.
Indeed. Quite an outrageous and unjust, reckless accusation it was. However, I've decided to accord this rank amateur who found his way to our shores from his suspicious little Oriental nation every courtesy. God, imagine there's like so much venom behind that. Thank you very much. I can't help feeling the way he worded that just now was anything but courteous. Nope.
A decision worthy of a proud British prosecutor indeed. Were you able to finish preparing the witness, Lord Van Seeks?
The subpoena has already been delivered into her hands, and she's currently waiting in the witness lounge.
In that case, escort the witnesses to the stand.
Now then, witnesses, your names and occupations once more. I'm William Potensi. My occupation? I suppose one could say that for the time being, it's a victim. So in other words, you're currently unemployed.
I'm Viridian Green. I'm a future painter. Or no. I realize that I have no future as a painter, so I suppose I'm simply a coward who doesn't know when to quit.
By which you mean that you're also currently unemployed. God help us.
Mr. William Potensi.
Yes, Your Honor. Potensi at your service. Your current position is no longer a mere victim, but as a possible attempter on the life of your fellow boarder, Natsume Souseki. The court will likely be pursuing that possibility going forward. I happily welcome it. And you, Mrs. Viridian Green, or Miss Viridian Green.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the circumstances under which you've been summoned here today?
Yes, I've heard. Apparently, I've been accused of poisoning this immature man.
Do you admit it, Miss Green?
Not only did I not poison him, I don't even know the first thing about this incident.
Come, lady. Die to live. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with this pulp green lady. Oh boy. Well, we're gonna prove it.
Now then, let us commence with the trial and the investigation of Miss Green's involvement in this incident.
This is all baffling to me. Why me of all people? I rarely even go to the East End. I just happened to be passing through that area 6 days ago. And on the night of the incident, I was half dead in a hospital bed.
It's incredibly unfortunate you found yourself wrapped up in that incident that occurred on the walkway in front of that boarding house. And wound up stabbed in the back and unconscious in the hospital for 5 days afterwards.
To imagine that I could fall under suspicion simply because I happened to be stabbed while walking near the crime scene. I can't help worrying how many times I'll be suspected in the future.
I should think that the fact that you were stabbed would be more of a concern.
In any case, as far as we know, the only time you had any point of contact with that lodging house was that time 6 days ago. Therefore, would you mind testifying one more time about what happened 6 days ago?
Huh? 6 days ago? You mean when I was stabbed?
Yes, I'd like to hear about the day you were stabbed. Wow, we actually get to hear what happened because we didn't get that testimony in case 4 back in the first game. Even though this is for an entirely different reason. That's cool. I don't know, that's just cool writing to me, okay? Naturally, I'd like to hear about it from you too, Potensi-san. What? But I had nothing to do with what happened 6 days ago.
Very well, in that case, the court requests to hear your testimony about the incident that occurred on Briar Road that evening 6 days ago.
We are going to do that in the next video because we are out of time, so I will see you guys then.